Hi guys, welcome to the next Ranking Up episode. I've got my stats up on the screen, but I thought I'd just take you through a couple of things first. So I'll jump over to my spreadsheet. This is the way that I keep track of all my games. This is my North America run where I made it to top 50. Basically designed something that where you just throw in your rank, throw in how many kills you got, and your rating after the game, and then it automatically tells you what your total kills are for the season, and also shows you your rating change. And I've just color graded it, so high rankings are dark green, and rankings that don't change much are around yellow, and bad rankings are red. It shows you a couple of things. It's really valuable for making me understand what was important for rankings. Obviously, you sort of feel like kills are important, you feel like wins are important, but like, is a top 10 important? Is 10th way better than 11th, or is it, does it sort of not actually matter very much whether you're top 10? I think basically the game doesn't care if you're top 10 or not. I think 10th is basically slightly better than 11th, and 9th is slightly better than 10th. It doesn't sort of, you don't get any extra rating points for getting the top 10. There's nothing magical about it. And I think kills are drastically undervalued by the rating system. If I get a second or a third with one kill here, I'm getting positive points, 10 and 5. Where's something... A second, well, here's a good example. So a second with 6 kills is worth 15 points. A second, first with 2 kills is worth 34 points. So I got more than double as many points with 4 less kills. I think that's not great, especially when you're only one place off. I think you do get a premium for winning, by the way. Winning is always very strong. You'll also note that I can get something like a 24th and 0 here and only get -1 point. Whereas if I get an 82nd and 0, I get -16 points. At this level, like -16 is a 5 kill win, basically. So it's almost as like if I end up getting 69th with 0 kills, and then the next game after win with 5 kills, I've made a total of +4 to my ratings. It's basically the equivalent as if I didn't play those 2 games and just got a 10th with 0 kills. So what this should tell you is you need to get far in every game. Early deaths are the single biggest thing that will hold back your ranking. And don't prioritize kills. Prioritize doing well in game. You need to actually get, like, the higher the rank is far more important than getting kills. A first with 9 kills here, 21 points. Just actually less points than this first with 3 kills. There's a lot of variability here because it depends who's in the game with you. If you're in the game with really high rank players, you'll get more points. If you're in the game with very low rank players, you'll get less points. So that's why there's some discrepancies in these things. But it's a good way to track how you're going and sort of show you general progress. So we'll keep that on board, and I'll keep updating this as we go through, and you can have a look how these games have fared. Second thing to have a quick look at is just on this previous game that I played. Give me 1 second. So I wanted to point out a few things here. The first is that if you didn't know this, you can hold shift to get a slight zoom when you're looking down iron sights. It's very valuable to get in the habit of doing. So this is your normal zoom, and you'll see it zoom in a little bit there. Just increases the size of the guy on your screen by a little bit. Not a big deal, but get in the habit, particularly in these situations where you're trying to take shots of guys who haven't seen you yet. Get in the habit of using shift. It'll make your shooting just that much better. It's about as strong as a 2x scope as well, so you can use it for scouting a bit. The second thing I wanted to point out was this kill, or this attack. Open the door, close the door here. You heard the door close? So I heard this door open, What I didn't notice is that this guy had come in, and I think he opened the front door just as I opened this side door. Because if you have a look, the front door is now open. So I was wondering why I didn't notice this guy, I didn't hear him. I think it's because he opened the door at the same time as I opened this side door here. I'll just run that again. Close the front door. You heard that? It's definitely closed. I only heard this side door open, and bang, get shot. So sometime in that whole process, he must have opened that front door, and I think it was as I opened that door, so that's why I got in trouble. The next quick thing about this kill is you'll notice that I'm about to turn around and spray pretty wildly as I leave this bathroom. I have no idea where he is, other than the vague direction where he is, but this spray is totally on purpose. It may look like a sort of panic, but it's not. It's basically to say that if he's charging me with the second shot of his shotgun, I'm going to meet him with a whole bunch of lead. So that's advantage number one to doing it. Advantage number two is if he's trying to sort of peek me or trying to hold my door, I want him to think that I know where he is and want him to have to deal with bullets coming at him, because that's a scary thing to deal with. Makes people retreat back into their cover. Gives me a little bit more time and space. So I'm going to spray here. I see him. Adjust my shots. Unfortunately, I don't hit him. I think I hit the floor in front of him at one point. But I hear him fire the second shot as I'm ducking in out of cover. That's great. That means he's reloading. Now I'm just spraying with this NA lag. Guys at this range are not exactly where they are on my screen. His hitbox is a little bit in a different spot. So I tend to have to kind of just spray in the general area and hope that I do enough, which I do. I ended up getting him with the headshot, which is nice. But if you have a look at his military vest, it's absolutely fucked. Like, I hit him a lot in the chest as well. Yeah, so that's that. Another reason for spraying around the corner when I came out of the building is that for that same reason with the lag. So I don't ever want to be in a position where like I'm trying to peek and kill on reflex. Like doesn't work. The lag is too strong. Most good players will beat me. So I want to be pre-firing as much as possible. Just fire where you know they're going to pop their head out, and occasionally you'll hit them in the head. Other times you'll get to cover, and then you can start working a flank or something where the lag stuff is not so important. Like this, I don't care about the lag at all. He just squats and I pop him in the face. No issues with the lag there. All right, the last thing I wanted to mention was my awareness in this spot. So at this point I knew there was 5 alive, but I didn't quite get into my head what that means. 5 alive here means that there's one guy behind this tree, one guy behind this US, and me. That means there's only 2 guys to my left. Also, given how open this is, it's basically a wide open beach, those 2 guys are going to have to see each other and probably going to fight. So really what I should be thinking is, I kill the winner of this fight, then it's 1v1. But I am not thinking that. I'm still in the like 5 alive, plenty of people to go type mindset. That is not very good awareness from me. This fight was done very well. I'm glad that I didn't shoot there. I thought about it, but didn't. Just waited, been patient. Now, I will forgive myself for not seeing this kill. On the bottom left, Shade Artist killing a moose on the loose. But this is a highly significant kill. It means there's only one guy that is to my left, and then there's the 2 guys in front of me. So it's confirmed now that as soon as I get a kill, it's 1v, or as soon as I deal with this situation, it's 1v1. Great. So I've dealt with that threat. They're both dead. Even if I didn't see the kill before, I should know right now that it's a 1v1. I should be looking at 2 alive in the top right. I should be looking down the left to see the kills. I don't. I'm still not aware that it's 1v1. That is actually quite a big mistake, and it also makes this fight look stupid. Because here is the guy. This is the one guy I have to beat, right? I'm right on the back edge of this circle. I could be moving up and taking either of these 2 trees to the right, which would basically guarantee me a win, because then I have cover and he has none. Or I could be really committing to killing him as he runs in from the blue, because he can't do anything other than try and avoid this blue. So I could really be committing here. But all I'm doing is really just trying to put a couple of shots in, hope that the blue catches him, that sort of stuff. I'm not thinking this is for the match at this point. And that's just a bad mistake. So still just taking casual shots. But I'm still thinking, at some point I've got to get into this cover here. No, you don't. You need to get into this cover in the southwest. That's where you need to get into cover. This is like slow and not good enough for me, really. Then I get punished by the circle. So it's around about here that I realize there's only 2 left, and the circle is bad for me. But all of that delay tactic, I mean, I don't know if he's healed up. I don't know, like, you know, he might not be the best player, but against a good player, they're just healing up here. They're like, yep, great. I can deal with this, no worries. Get behind a tree. I'm the only one who has cover. He has to come to me. I'm healed. This game's over against a good player. As it is, I get lucky. We have a pretty awful fight. Sure. But the key thing was to note was my lack of awareness. So if I had better understanding that it was a 1v1 and I had better understanding of the blue situation and the dynamics there, then that's an easy win. As it turns out, it was probably a should have lost. So, you know, that's not the end of the world. Like, sometimes you win games that you should have lost. Sometimes you lose games you should have won. These things happen. But I just thought I'd point that stuff out and let you guys know, you know, what I'm thinking about when I'm reviewing my games or thinking about the game. Definitely worth doing, even if you don't like record your games. Definitely worth having a think about. Which fights were you not having an advantage for? Like, in which fights were you at a disadvantage, and how can you avoid that in future? Like, that end fight I had a disadvantage in, and there's... I absolutely can avoid that in the future. There's you know, my lack of awareness caused it. And also that second fight, same thing. I had kind of a disadvantage in that he was able to take a shotgun at my back. I got lucky that he missed. But why did that happen? And I think in that case it was just kind of luck. He opened the door right at the same time as I opened the door, and that coupled with the rain just meant I didn't hear it, didn't have the awareness to realise that was what was going on. So yeah, it's a little bit of admin at the start of the game. Maybe if I can work out how to do it, I'll try and find a, you know, like put on a description or something when this game starts so that people can skip it. But I think, I mean, part of what I want to do with the series is try and show, just try and show more of that, like, analysis stuff. Like, I'm a big nerd. I like knowing how players do good things, what they're thinking and what they're going through and all that stuff. And I think both of those games were actually really instructive. Or not both those games, but those moments that I was reviewing them were really instructive. So, yeah, hopefully you guys think so as well. Now, this is a bit of a weird jump. I don't know if I'm quite going to make it to the garage, which is sort of where I want to go. Again, basically all the time here, like until other people start really taking cars a lot, I'm just going to look for a car and get out of Dodge, come back and do better next time. I actually see a buggy down there, right? Oh, is this guy going to beat me to it? No, he's long flying somewhere else. Yeah. So I was sort of going to that garage, could have long flown a bit closer to it. But really, I mean, if you're just flying north, then you have that sort of thing where you're like, I'm as far north as I can get from the plane, so I'm comfortable just keeping on going north, and there's no real issue there. Now, I love running down people who parachute in late, but I think there actually isn't much joy to be had there. I was tempted to get out for that Dacia, but I don't think there's much need for that either. Okay. In terms of where to go, I just don't like Severny much. I think people go to Severny all the time. Do I switch to the bike? God, the bike, huh? I think the bike is super effective, really nimble, good on rough terrain, super fast. Like, I think the bike is an excellent vehicle, but every now and then it fucks you. You do a flip or you turn sideways and you die. When that happens, I get a really low rank. I end up getting 60th or 70th or something with 0 kills, and it basically undoes like a really hard game, like a top 10 or a win or something. So, are all the advantages of the bike worth the fact that occasionally it fucks you? I don't know. But I mean, the more you use it, the better you get with it, I guess. So, you know, and it's not like those occasional fuckings are entirely just up to chance. Like, you have some control over whether or not it fucks you. It just feels like you have not that much control. Sometimes it just hits ya. But okay, let's just assume that things are going to work out okay here. Basically, when you're driving to Zaki like this, the line you want to take, or the line I think you should take, although I didn't exactly do it super well there, is, oh no, this is good. I'll go up and get this tunnel. Sort of 50-50 on whether you should get this tunnel. I think it's fine to skip it, but basically, around here, follow this road up. So see how it doglegs? If you follow the dogleg up in that direction, that's the easiest way to drive any vehicle up to Zaki quickly. You have to go a little bit off-road, and there's some, you know, there's a few bumps and stuff, but there's not that many that'll threaten to flip your car or anything like that. For the most part, it's actually a pretty smooth drive. So I would recommend that you do that. In the same way that I recommend you go on the north side of Crater for getting to power plant. I think if you go south side of Crater, then you have to run through Milta or over some really awful terrain, and you're more likely to cop it, whereas there's just nice smooth open grassland if you go on the south side. Okay, so you can see from that spot, I mean, it's actually a pretty good haul. Is it worth stopping your vehicle and, you know, arriving at Zaki late? Don't know. In games where more people go to places like Zaki, like when other people have gotten cars and driven straight here, maybe it's not worth it. Jeez, that looks a bit suspect. Let me get sound on. That car looks sort of like it was a parked car, but I don't think it was. And I'd be shocked if anybody got here. I'd be shocked if anyone drove here full stop, let alone at this level, let alone if they drove here and beat me when I had a motorbike. Mind you, I did stop at the thing, didn't I? Interesting. But I think... Oh god, now I'm hearing stuff everywhere. You have to be really paranoid with stuff like this. There's no other way, unfortunately. I haven't seen any open doors, of course. Otherwise I would be freaking out much more. It's an embarrassing little moment. Alright. Get that on it. Oh, too late. .556 rifle with a 4x scope is just perfect as a secondary. Loving that. don't actually like some grenades in. I'll take the flash hider over the compensator. I tend to like flash hiders over compensators. I think the flash is probably one of the key ways that I ever see people. It's really important tool to use. If you can take that away from people, then that's really strong. It's hard because it does come at a cost. Compensators are very, very good at keeping recoil down, and I play a very heavy automatic firing style, so that's greatly useful. But on an SMG, I can generally handle the recoil, and yeah, the flash hiding thing is important. If I had to, I mean, I'd put a compensator on a close range weapon, but because obviously the guy that you're engaging at close range knows where you are. But even so, there's probably other people who are watching. It matters in the final circle. You know. It's a bit annoying. I mean, good annoying, I guess. Jeez, it's actually amazing annoying. So it's annoying because I had to decide between an ump and a M16 as my primary. I chose the ump here, but I'm really looking to ditch it. If I get a 5.56 rifle, I will be stoked. Like a SCAR or a 4.16. That would be ideal. But the weapon mods on the SKS are awesome. They are really powerful. The scope is great. The sometimes I like having two scopes so I can put it on. Say if I've got a SCAR and a Kar 98, then I'll put it on one on the SCAR and one on the Kar 98. And if I know I'm going to be engaging at range, and that way I can like hit him with the Kar and then switch, and still have an advantage. But it's a bit, yeah, it's a bit much for muchness. But I don't, so I don't like the M16 is the what I'm getting at there. For the reason that I was talking about earlier. Pick up the compensator. Yeah, the reason that I was talking about earlier, that it's because it's not an automatic fire weapon. The shots happen irregularly. They happen when I manage to click, which is not perfectly regular, and that means that the recoil is not perfectly regular either. It has sort of stutters, where some of which it's very strong, some of which it's kind of weak, and I am unable to control it. So that means I can't. Like, you have to sort of single shot with it, and I don't want to be playing single shot games, particularly on the NA server. The other thing I haven't talked about is shotguns. I think shotguns are good weapons in the game. I think they're fine and useful. I almost never take them, and it's simply because I can't use them in low latency as well as other people can use them. It's partially just my lack of ability and partially the latency issue, but for whatever reason, the shotgun is basically just not that effective a weapon for me, and so I almost never even pick them up unless I am really in a bind in the early game and need to find a weapon. So, I prefer the ump to the AK, prefer the ump to the M16 most of the time. I guess one of the only sort of caveats I've got here is I would take any auto-fire 5.56 rifle. I do like the ump a lot, but just no need to mess around with it in comparison, especially now that they nerfed it a bit. For a while there, I actually liked it more than anything, basically, more than the auto-fire rifles, because it was just so strong. I actually don't want the suppressor. I'm not even going to take it. Other people love suppressors. Suppressors are just not my bag. At times they're useful, but I find that the lack of a recoil item at a bare minimum is a problem, and I suspect that they do less damage and have more bullet drop, both of which is not true in real life, but and apparently, like, if you look up the Reddit stats or whatever of the weapons, it's not true, but that's my perception. I know that's super gross. I don't, like, user beware. You don't want to listen to me on this. That's totally fine. I just don't love suppressors. Don't think they're good. I will use them because obviously the actual suppression is very strong, as I talked about with flash hiding. I'm a believer in this stuff. I understand that it's very valuable. But no, not good enough, the suppressing stuff. I can't afford to take 2 barrel attachments for a rifle I don't have. I'm sort of running out of space. I've got all these AR things hoping to find one, but at some point I've got to start thinking about like, I'm carrying 120 ammo that I'm not going to use, either 9mm or 5.56, and I'm carrying attachments that I'm not going to use, chances are. So that's hurting my ability to loot quickly, which is in turn putting me in danger in this blue, which is a long way away. So I'm not going to get there for this second circle, most certainly. I think I'm going to have to just do this building quickly, maybe that building and the warehouse. I don't know. I think this early on, most of these buildings are probably health positive EV. By that I mean, like, if I find an energy drink, say, like I just did then, that's probably enough to justify looting the whole building in terms of speed. Like, the amount of health that I gain from an energy drink is probably enough to say it was worth. That's another fucking M16. It was worth looting this building. I should just use a first aid here, actually. Might have to. I don't... first aids are very useful for when you're getting into the circle, because here I can just stop whenever I want and use a bandage. That's no big deal. But whereas when you're in a car, it destroys your whole momentum to stop. So you don't want to stop very often, and that means you want to stop only once or twice, use a first aid, and then keep going. Whereas when I'm running, I can just pause and use a bandage, like, no big deal. It doesn't affect my momentum very much. Another M16. Oh, so yeah, this is sort of what I'm talking about with a health positive building, right? Find a first aid like this, or a oh jeez, still a quick draw mag. Is this the best? I think it's the best SKS you can get. This combination. You could argue maybe an 8 times is better, but honestly, I prefer the 4 times just about always. So that is certainly something. Beautiful weapon. Another M16. Or maybe I already counted that one in my list of M16s that have happened. But yeah, so, in those buildings, let's say, like, okay, I found 2 first aids in that one, but let's just average out all the first aids that you find in all of those sorts of buildings, and then just see, like, are you gaining health if you're in the blue and you loot one of those buildings? Is it just worth it? And the answer is almost always yes. The problem is that at some point you do need to get into the blue. So even though it might be health positive compared to what the blue damage that you're taking now, you aren't getting any closer to not taking blue damage. So that's a slight crimp in that maths, if you like. But it does mean that, like, if you're in the blue and you're, got, say, 2 first aids and you're thinking, oh, I've got to get into the next white, and you come across 3 good residential buildings that haven't been looted, loot them. Like, chances are you'll end up with more health than if you didn't loot them. Like, look at this first aid, bang. So, like, I could let my health get down to nothing. I could sit here in this building doing nothing, let my health get down to very low, use a first aid, and I'll leave this building with more health than when I entered it. Significantly more health. And now that I've got 2 first aids, that just obviously doubly applies. So, don't be afraid to loot, but just make sure that if the rolls don't go in your favor, and it's looking a bit... Ooh. Yeah, if the rolls don't go in your favor and you don't find anything, make sure you've just got enough to limp in, because every now and then you'll just get really unlucky with all of your findings, and you won't find something. Okay, so I've kind of got to give up on the scarf or the 416. I think I'll probably keep the things because I found a level 3 backpack. I'll just keep all the attachments and the ammo, and maybe I'll kill somebody and take their stuff. There's my bike. So usually I like having painkillers and energy drinks on when I'm driving in. Again, it just cuts down on the amount of stoppages that you've got to make on the way, but given how low I am on those things, I'm just going to, and how high I am on first aids and stuff, I'm just gonna keep going with the first aids. Stop every now and then. This won't actually be super fun to get into the right. I may have left it a little bit late here, but I've got a couple of minutes before the next circle even starts to close in, and I have the fastest vehicle in the game. I think that's technically correct. Now that my momentum is rested and I'm low on health, I'll quickly use a first aid. I have 5 total, so 4 left. That should easily be enough to not even use the painkiller and stuff. One reason why I might want a painkiller is just for time. So if I painkiller and an energy drink now, my health goes down a lot slower, and I don't have to stop as much on the way. So better chance of getting into the new ride. As it stands, not so good, but that's alright. I think I'm going to go on the roads here, even though it's slightly slower, just because I don't want to put myself in a position where I flip the bike or anything like that, and I actually think I've got plenty of health to get there in time. It's one of those things where people feel very anxious when they're in the blue, and you can just be rational and use that to your advantage, and just know that it doesn't actually hurt as much as you might think, and it's actually perfectly fine to be in the blue for this long. Having said that, I mean, I might fuck up here and die to the blue. It's within the realms of possibility, and I have done it before. But again, if I do that, I'll finish like 20th. It's not the end of the world, and I've definitely got a shot at not doing that. It's always important to have bandages around. I might actually I was going to say I might actually painkiller. It's important to have bandages around whenever you're doing this heavy in the blue stuff, because occasionally you'll just misjudge it, you'll get distracted by something, you won't be paying attention, and you'll look at your health and it'll be really low. So you want to be able to just spam the bandage button ASAP, know that you've got that much shorter time where you'll get a little boost of health, and then use that one bandage to buy yourself enough time to do the full first aid. This was more important back when first aids took 8 seconds instead of whatever they are now, 6 seconds. But even so, it's just a great safety net. You look at your health and you think, fuck, I'm not going to make it, just bandage instead of first aid, then bandage immediately after that. Then first aid immediately after that. So, now we're on the south coast. The next circle still hasn't started yet. When it does start, it'll hurt me a lot more. I think I will have to painkiller at some point here. So I've got to get across the bridge. Oh, jeez. They just want me to use to get some crates here, don't they? So I've got to watch this circle. I've definitely got enough time to take painkillers and a first aid with the current circle, but if the circle had transitioned to the next one, or it hurts me more, maybe I wouldn't have. So that was A little bit dangerous there. I don't know what this fucking crate could have that I would want, really. Somebody's already been here. Okay, was that a 4 and 6? It was, but I'm just going to keep getting. I don't have a tack stock, so it's actually nowhere near as good as a Scar. I think even with a tack stock, it's still less good than a Scar for me. But okay, so no tack stock, so that already makes it worse. And B, just the time it would take to swap out all my shit and attach all the right mods and all that stuff, reload it. Let's just... the ump is a perfectly good weapon. Let's use it. Get going. That is interesting. So I don't love hearing that. I might just wait for a little bit longer. Jeez. Hoping that guy was the guy who died outside play zone. But you can see, even now, even with the late level of this thing, I'm totally happy just sitting here, copping damage a bit. Letting that guy worry about how he's going to get into the next thing, not think about trying to shoot me, basically. Still have a few more of these bandages. I kind of want to get in before all of my my painkillers and stuff run out though. So, and I definitely can't let the next circle happen without me being in it. So, let's get in. There's no one left on the bridge. I doubt there's anyone on the bridge. There might have been somebody just camping just outside the bridge, but whatever. Not much you can do about that. Okay, and we're in. On the whole, relatively safe. Those buildings are the only buildings in town. Is this water in the circle? It is. I might just use the water again. Will I? Yep. There is another guy in the water over there, as you can see. There's a guy up on the cliffs. Didn't find a chance to bandage anywhere. This is actually pretty good water for getting in. I can get in under the cliffs there, even though I'm on the far side here. That guy looks like he's outside the blue zone. It's hard to tell in the white, in all honesty. Definitely saw a guy up on the cliffs there. Actually, the water is in the next thing. Did he shoot me there? Is he keen on shooting me? I think he might be. So there's a guy up in the cliffs that I'm trying to keep track of. I want to make sure I don't get too in the red for my lungs. Yeah, he's just keen beaning me, I think. Is that him shooting at someone else? Nope. No, it's me. Yeah. So this is the main concern. He knows I'm there. He's safe from everybody else. He's already shot down some dudes. He knows what he wants here. And that is to shoot me in the face. This guy, it seems, tried to get up there. Didn't work out so well for him. It's just wiggling. Love that. By the way, if you can't tell where I am, white circle at the top. Sorry, white triangle at the top. This guy right there. Now he's looking elsewhere. Well, there's this motorbike. Let's see if he gets distracted. Where is he? He did get distracted. Well, sort of. I know where you are. Fuck. That's pretty good. Shit, it's bad. And the water gun is not good. I gotta get to him? I think I do. Okay. I've got to get in the white. That's the next thing. There's a guy there, but I don't really want to fuck with him. Ah. Yeah, good shot by that guy. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten down. I was hoping he wouldn't see me, but unfortunately he did. Yeah, it's just disappointing. If there was any crevice or, you know, crack to hide in and take some healing, then I would have done that. But, no, like, I could have gone on the outside of the cliffs, but just very dangerous. If you fall off, that's game over. But maybe I should have done that. Or maybe I should have just kept going and tried to find some cover. Like, all I did was go down prone. Super easy to shoot you in the face if you're doing that. I might have got one hit off onto him, but yeah, I was never going to win a fight on half health if I'm prone and not moving. So, yeah, so it goes. I'll update the spreadsheet with a 5th and 1 kill, and I'll chat to you next time. GG, guys.